Plaintiff Leanne Cummings met the defendant on a modeling website. And despite the fact that she was living with her boyfriend, who's in court with her today, she and the defendant started having an affair. Leanne let the defendant move in with her and her boyfriend, and now she's 5 months pregnant with the defendant's baby. She's suing today for unpaid loans. Defendant William Fleming says when he first started a relationship with Leanne, she said she and her boyfriend were no longer dating. William only admits to owing Leanne for a portion of her lawsuit.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Prove your case.
I met the defendant, William, also known as Trey Fleming, in May 2008. We met on a modeling website called modelmayhem.com.
You both model?
No, he was going to be the artist for a body paint project.
Oh, okay.
And he asked me to be the model, and he was going to paint me nude.
All right.
This never came to play. We became friends, very close
you got
friends.
nude, but you weren't painted.
Oh, we actually never did it at all.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you're right.
you
Basically.
Did get nude.
Just never got paid for it and never did it professionally.
You wanted to be paid.
Well, he was going to have me.
You all the ex-boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm trying to understand.
Right.
During that time, he wasn't trying to pay you to be naked,
No.
was he?
No.
Okay. You did that voluntarily as his girlfriend.
We never did it at all.
Never got naked as his girlfriend.
Oh, as his girlfriend, yes. We never did the body paint project, but I got. I'm sorry.
She doesn't seem to remember you all's naked encounters very well.
Probably wasn't that good.
Let me hear from you, sir. Maybe you can remember the intimate times that you all had.
You know, when we first met, I had no idea I'd be dealing with the likes of Hurricane Leanne. Because we had talked about doing a project. Then we actually started chatting. I asked her if I can get to know a little bit more about her so we can pick the right project for her, which is typical. And we started a dialogue, and the dialogue just kept continuing, and we became really close friends.
Whatever happened to the project?
It just never transpired.
Why?
I don't know why.
Do you know why it never transpired?
Yes, I know
why?
exactly why. When we met in May, it started supposedly business. He asked to paint me. He asked to write with me, all kinds of business proposals. I was very excited. I thought he was professional. He supposedly had a big background. I looked him up online and found all kinds of information on him that he was indeed, a writer and all that. Never happened. He wanted to be friends. He developed, close, very open emails. We became friends. When we met, which was just a couple months after we started emailing, we immediately developed a sexual relationship. It was casual. But when he said he was homeless, I took it upon myself to let him move in with me and my boyfriend, Gino, here. He's my boyfriend, and he was at the time as well. But he came to stay with us.
And he became your boyfriend?
Basically, yes. It was.
And had you broken up with him?
Not officially, no.
Okay, so both boyfriends were living in the home with you?
Pretty much. What basically happened was he came to stay with us. We had already been having sex. And I had known Gino for like 6 years. And I had told Gino on a few times that I wasn't really committed to him. So it would be off and on roommates and sometimes boyfriend and girlfriend. It's been a long relationship.
So that was pretty much casual sex with Gino?
Yeah.
And casual sex with the defendant?
And with the defendant.
So you had plenty of casual sex in your house?
No,
casual sex residence?
No. Well, actually, while he was
staying... You had two casual sex residents in your house?
Well... Actually, while he came to stay with us, it became, I started really caring for him more. I became pregnant, and I am now 5 months pregnant with his child.
How you know it's his?
I have basically one partner that I was having sex with when I got pregnant. Gino was no longer staying there, and Gino here has a vasectomy. He's had one for about 18 years.
Good enough.
And during the course of me getting involved with him, obviously the sex had tapered down big time with Gino.
Okay.
So he went and he was going to, do his own thing, and we were going to separate.
We got to get to the loans you're suing about. Okay. But I will allow him to address any of this, and then we'll get to the loans.
Well, I'll make it brief, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The first point is, when we got together and first started talking, she told me there was no relationship with Gene. In fact, she repeatedly told me she hated Gene, for the way he treated her. Well, it is true. In fact, Gene's an alcoholic and would physically and mentally abuse her. I've been there when it's happened. She's come to stay with me because of these incidences. You know,
Okay,
so when I got to
you
this-
don't have a place to stay. Where would I stay with you? I had the motels that you stayed in.
All right, ma'am.
I'm just,
You didn't have, you're homeless.
I'm just
You had no
answering his
home.
question.
Where would I stay?
So when I got to the house, I was not aware of the depth of the relationship that apparently Jean thought they had. And Jean had told me that she was his girlfriend, and I wasn't aware
Who
of
did
that.
you tell him you were?
Well, at that point, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend when I got to the
Okay.
house. That evolved over the course of time.
All right.
So I was,
Hadn't you all had casual relations by that time?
yes, by that time, yes.
All right. You and Gino didn't discuss that?
We did at some point down the road.
Okay.
You know, a month
All
after
right.
being there, I think. There was a point at which we actually discussed
Did
that.
anyone apologize to each other?
I think we agreed that it was awkward.
Okay. Go ahead.
And
We
it's,
never agreed on anything.
We didn't agree on nothing.
When I found
Not a
out,
thing.
Come on up, Gino. State
when
your
I
name.
found out it was
State
my
your
name is
your
Gene
full
Waite,
name.
Gene Russell Waite. When I found out when I actually found out Trey was supposed to come over for Thanksgiving. He was living in a motel, didn't have anything to do. For Thanksgiving, we invited him over. He ended up staying for almost 4 weeks. He wasn't invited to stay for 4 weeks. I didn't know they were having sex, and I left the whole situation. Now, he did get her pregnant. I love her. I've been together with her for 7 years now. We worked through it, and there's a baby involved. And he's a deadbeat. He's an internet predator. And,
He's a con artist.
And he's a con artist.
He's conned tons of
and
people.
you can look
I
him
have
up online, and you can
tons
see
of
all the people that he's conned.
Why do you call him an internet predator?
Because he found her on this website, Model Mayhem, and as soon as he found her on the website, he zeroed in on her, he dropped his profile from the website, and he went after her.
And forced himself on her to move in and have sex with her at the same time
he
you
made
are.
it-
Let's get to the loans, ma'am. How does he owe you for that?
First of all, anything he says is obviously not true.
All right.
He's the alcoholic, a major
right.
alcoholic.
All right.
While he was staying with us, he was hiding bottles of booze in cans, belligerent, off the wall, making all kinds of, his behavior is irrational.
Tell me about the loans.
It basically started in October. It started with some loans for motels, food,
What
gas.
was the total amount in October?
Okay, 2 different motels, food and gas.
Tell
So
me
that
the total
was, I
amount.
actually have the itemized list here.
What else?
That's the grouped one. Then when he came to stay with us, let's see, he said he was broke, but he at the same time wanted to fund his kids' Christmas. His son Alex's birthday, I paid for Chuck E. Cheese for the birthday, for food.
It was a loan?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
And
Food.
Christmas gifts, you have $39.
That actually, I went with him Christmas shopping to Christmas shop for his kids.
And you loaned him the money?
I loaned him the money.
All right.
I credited $100 for a job I gave him to do. It was actually 100
All
and
right.
something.
Let's get to your computer. $330? How so?
It was actually a $600 laptop, which he had me put on my credit card. He made me a $270 payment towards it, so the balance leaves $330.
Good enough. Sir, do you owe these amounts?
No, I don't.
Explain why.
Well, first off, I will agree that the motel rooms I do owe.
Okay.
I did borrow those. It was not me asking her for money. I never have asked her for
All right.
anything.
What else?
Then the Chuck E. Cheese I do not owe. That was a gift that she said she'd pay for the children to do the party because I told her I didn't have the money to do a party at the time. I do owe $80 for food she had loaned me.
What about the computer?
Well, the computer I don't agree with. Originally the computer was destroyed by Jean, and we had to replace the computer. So she decided to put the computer on her credit card so we can save the cash because we moved
After
out
I
at that
paid him
point.
$800
Quiet.
cash.
Did you pay on it?
Yes, I paid $411 on it.
Why? Why? If
Why
you
did-
said you don't owe, you never owed, there was no reason for you to pay.
No, I said what she did. She put it on her credit card. So
And
I
you
was
paid
repaying-
her.
Well, $411 of the $600 for the computer.
Right. That means you
Yes.
owe the remaining balance.
Yes, exactly.
You paid
Exactly. You
$270.
just said you don't owe for the computer.
No, I didn't.
I have a promissory note where he states very clearly he owes me $2,000. He's going back on
Is
his
this true,
word.
sir?
I've
Yes,
got
that's true. Yes,
tons of emails.
It's true.
It's true.
I've got.
Why are you sitting here debating all this and
Because
you say it's true that you agreed to pay $2,000?
I signed the note because it was under duress. She gets very angry and upset about the financial issues. And I wanted to try to resolve our relationship. I was in love with this woman.
Okay,
And I was
so
trying
you
to make
did it
work.
out of love.
So yes, I was trying to make
All right, love
her
is not
happy.
considered duress.
Well, it is when she gets angry if I don't
All
sign
right,
it.
that doesn't fall
Right.
under the law. Being in love and acting on love does
Yeah.
not come under duress.
Right.
So I'll have to grant her judgment, and that is $1,900. Love bug, don't fall into these traps anymore and sign documents. Have a good day.
Yes, Your Honor.
Take a paternity test. If you're denying it, take a paternity test. That's all I
have no
ask.
problem with the paternity test.
I've given you pamphlets where I said, if you want to have an abortion at the beginning of this pregnancy, you said no. We don't even have to consider that. Paternity test, we don't need to do that.